In this video, I'm going to talk about AAA. AAA stands for Authentication, Authorization, and Accounting. So AAA is just one way to authenticate users before they can access devices on the network. So um, in a nutshell, I've got some notes here. In a nutshell, you can think of AAA in the following manner. Authentication, meaning that who is the user trying to access the device. Authorization, what is the user allowed to do uh, when they are on the device. So whether they can, execute certain commands or not. And accounting, basically, um, the server, the external server, or the user activity is being monitored. So, and it is, and the external server is actually, the activity that the user is doing is being logged on the server, on the external server. That's how I understand it. So here, user authentication can be handled by actually three methods. So one method is you can just configure a local account um, on the device. So basically, this is how you here, as an example, this is how you configure a local account in the global configuration. So you say username Cisco secret Cisco. So usernames and passwords configured locally on the switch. So this should be on the devices. That's one method. Second method is you can use a radius server or radius servers, external radius servers, and I'm gonna show you the authentication. The configuration on how. I'm gonna show you how to configure radius servers in a minute. And then the third one is using TACACS servers. So by the way, radius is industry standard. Cisco is Cisco proprietary. So meaning that radios can be used with on different vendors. But TACACS can only be used on Cisco devices. So here, configuring authentication. In this video, we're just gonna configure authentication, authorization, configuring authorization and accounting is very is it's not that hard, but here in this video, we're just gonna configure authentication. So I've got some steps here. This is from this book. So let's go to the topology that I created. So here, basically we have two routers and two switches, and this is the external TACACS or radius server here, and and we have two computers. So basically, before you can configure TACACS or radius, you have to make sure that all the devices can reach each other, or they have IP connectivity. So Um, let's go ahead and actually try to ping the TACACS server from the switch. So I'm on switch 1 here. Here, this is switch 1. So I'm gonna try to ping TACACS, the TACACS server. So the IP address is 10.1.1.100. So I can ping it. So basically, I configured all the ports, and I'm actually using OSPF. I'm gonna show you the OSPF configuration here. So basically, I configured OSPF on the routers so that these two networks here can see each other. So basically, we just have two networks here. So this is one network, 1.1.1.1, sorry, 1.1.1.0/24, and the other network is 192.168.1.0/24. So yeah, each device can reach each other. So I'm already here on router 1. Let me show you the output of show IP interface brief. So here, I'm gonna show you the TACACS configuration. So basically, the TACACS is configured to have this gateway, TACACS or radio server, and it's it's got an IP address of here, this IP address on its fast Ethernet 0 interface, and this is the subnet mask /24. And I'm gonna go to services tab. So this is where you actually configure AAA. So you turn on the service, and then each device. I mean, you configure each device with their IP addresses and the server type or the protocol that is being used on that device, and of course the key. And this is where you also configure the username or password that you can use to access the devices. So this account here is not configured on the devices. So that's all you can. I mean, that's all the configuration on the TACACS and radio server. So let's go back to R1. Just let me just do a ping just to make sure if I can ping the server. Okay, I can ping it. So let me show you this router here is configured with radius, and the rest of the devices are configured with TACACS. So begin. I'm going to show you the TACACS and AAA configuration. Sorry, the radius and AAA configuration. Radius, no, that's not a good command. Include AAA. Radius. So let's go back to the steps. So basically, This is how you configure authentication. In this example, I'm using TACACS, but uh, it's just the same with Radius server or Radius. You just have to, of course, change this to Radius and this one here. So this is first step one. You enable the AAA. This is how you enable it. This is the command. And step two, define the source of authentication. So here, this is the local account that is configured on all the devices. Let me show you that local account on the router. So here, username, Cisco, secret. This is the, of course, it is encrypted because it's secret. And this is how you um, specify the TACACS server. This is the command is TACACS server host. This is the IP address of the TACACS server and the key. So this is the key that is also specified on the TACACS server I showed you earlier. So we are on R1. So R1, this is the key, right? So they should have the same key. And TACACS server and router only know that key. And step three, this is where you define the authentication method that the device is going to try. So this is the command AAA authentication login. This is login, meaning that you are just trying to log in to the router or to the device. Default. This is like an unnamed uh, group. So if you don't specify a group, in this case we are just using a single TACACS server, so I don't have to specify a group. So I can use this command here, default, and the group, the default group is TACACS, and this is the server, and local. This is the local account. So let me show you the configuration here on the router. So here, right? And number 4, apply a method list to a switch line. So uh, this is important here because as mentioned here, if this is not configured, if this router is separated or isolated from the network, you don't have a way. I mean, you might have access, you might lose access to the device. So you can't access it until one of the servers comes back up. So I've got a tip here. So be sure to add either the local or line methods at the end of the list as a last resort. This way, if all the radius or TACACS server are unavailable or the switch is completely isolated from the rest of the network, a locally configured authentication method will eventually be used. Otherwise, you will never be able to access the switch or the device until at least one of the servers comes back online. This is actually the what I'm was talking about here. So step 5, after authentication is configured on the device, it is a good idea to stay logged in on one session so that the authentication can be tested. If you exit the configuration session, you will not be able to log in again if the authentication is misconfigured. While you stay logged in on the original session, bring up a new. I'm gonna actually use SSH session here in our in this case. If you can authenticate successfully, everything is configured properly. So basically, what this saying is, after you configured AAA, you have to open a new session so that you can test your configuration, or you can actually telnet into yourself. So in this case, when I'm done with the configuration, I can just telnet to myself or SSH to myself. So my IP address, I can SSH to this IP address. I can do this command. Um, so I'm gonna use this account because this is the one that is configured on the server. Um, so let's use this account. So SSH-L first 192.168.1.252. Password is Cisco. Oops, Cisco. Okay, so I'm logged in. This is another way to test that your configuration is correct. And you can actually do a show line just to verify that you are logged in. Um, you are logged in via console and you are logged in via VTY or Telnet or SSH in this case. So I'm gonna actually exit out from my SSH session and console session. So here, as you can see here, console is now available. So meaning that I'm trying to log in to the device via console. So I'm gonna use first use as the username. Password is Cisco. Enable Cisco. So configuration is correct. And by the way, I have not shown you the configuration on the line on the lines. So here, as you can see, there's no configuration like what you see here, but I think by default, if there's no configuration under line console 0, it's still using the AAA authentication. But this is number 4 here. Uh, this configuration is this number 4. Apply a method list to a switch line. So I'm using AAA in this case. And of course, you have to make sure that you can only use, or users can only use SSH, not Telnet. Telnet is not secured. So let me show you again the TACACS, the radius configuration. Radius. And of course the username or the account. So that is all the configuration of radius, or that's how you enable AAA using a radius server. So let's check. Like I said earlier, all the rest of the devices are configured with TACACS. So let's go to switch 1. So this is also already configured, like I mentioned. So meaning that I'm trying to log into the switch via console, password Cisco. So let me show you the TACACS configuration. So here, this is just on router 1 or R1. This is the difference here. So I'm using group TACACS, and here on router 1 radius and TACACS. Let me show you the TACACS server. This is the TACACS server here. This is also the, as you saw on the server, there's also the key. So S1 key is Cisco. So that's the same thing on S1. So what's next? So I'm just trying to follow the steps here. So you enable the AAA. You define the local account as a last resort, and you define the TACACS server, and you define the list of authentication methods. This is the methods that we are using in this case, and you apply you apply the you apply AAA uh, to the lines. Actually, I'm gonna use begin to here. So I'm actually gonna try because, like I mentioned earlier, when the server is not working or a device is not able to communicate with the server, you can't log into the device using your TACACS account or your Radius account. So I'm gonna actually try to shut down this port here and see what happens. So first Cisco. So port is gig 1/1/0/3. So I'm gonna shut down this port. So when we go back to do a show line here, go back to S1. So I'm logged in to this device via console, right? And I use my TACACS account in this case. So what if I exit out? Let me ping the server. So in this case, I can't ping the server anymore. So what if I exit out Cisco? So my account first is not going to work in this case because switch 1 is not able to communicate with the server. So I should use as a last resort, I should use the account that is configured on this device locally. So the local account is Cisco, username is Cisco, and the password is Cisco. It's gonna take it's gonna take a moment and enable. I'm gonna use the same account, Cisco, username Cisco, password Cisco. It's taking a while. Okay, so as you can see, the username Ferds or the account Ferds is not working because S1 is not able to communicate with the server, and the local account is not working. Um, I'm gonna actually show you the lines. This is what I was talking about. That even if the method is not configured under the line console 0, uh, it's using the AAA authentication. So here I'm logged in via console. So let's go back and enable that port or unshut that port. Let's go back to S1 and ping the server. This is gonna take a while. Spanning tree. Okay, let me try again. Spanning tree has to converge before we can ping the server. Okay, now we can ping it. So I'm gonna actually show you that the local account is not gonna work if the server is pingable. So let's try it. It's not working, right? So you can't use it if the server is if everything is working and the server is pingable. So I have to use my TACACS account. Oh, password cisco. Uh, okay, I'm logged in. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to turn it into a device from the PC. So or SSH rather. So I'm gonna try to SSH to R2. R2 IP address is 192.168.1.253. Username, I use words. Password Cisco. Okay, it's working. And I'm connected via VTY or SSH. I'm gonna try to uh, get into S1 from PC1. So I'm gonna PC1 has a console cable to S1, so it should work. Oops. So actually I'm gonna go to terminal. This is the configuration, port configuration, and it should work. So do a show line. Just want to show you that this is really the console line. So yeah, that's all I have for configuring AAA, TACACS, and Radius servers. Thanks for watching.